Welcome to Portraits of Us, a photo story of our community, the podcast, where we celebrate the artists, creatives, educators, entrepreneurs, and the everyday people shaping our community one story at a time. I'm your host, Robb Garcia, and today I'm sitting down with a true trailblazer in the world of fashion, Agosto Cuellar. Agosto is a designer, creative force, and an advocate for sustainable fashion, known for his innovative approach to upcycling secondhand and thrifted clothing into bold, one-of-a-kind designs. His aesthetic, which he calls Resquachic, is a celebration of culture, resourcefulness, and sustainability, proving that fashion can be both stylish and conscious. We'll dive into his journey, how he got started, where he's headed next, and why sustainability in fashion is more than just a trend. It's a movement. Let's get started. So today we're here with Agosto Cuellar. He is a well-renowned fashion designer, also part-time DJ on the side. Grew up here in San Antonio on the west side, and I think I've known you for, close to about 30-something years now, maybe, through my sister Victoria.
You're probably right, Rob. It'd probably been a little bit over 30 years, exactly.
Yeah, and actually also recently found out that you grew up just down the street from us on San Fernando.
Yeah, actually, we were neighbors when we were kids. Yeah, on San Fernando. My grandma and her 10 kids lived in the Mirasol projects, which was a catty corner to, I believe, the house that your family owned.
We're a block away from there.
Exactly, yeah, by that big famous tree.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So how long did you live there in that neighborhood?
Well, basically, it was my grandma, Petra, that was the resident in the projects. My mom, being the oldest daughter, once she had me, we probably moved out when I was about 2 years old. And we ended up moving to another part of the city, Cincinnati and University, out there by Beacon Hill area. Yeah. I ended up going to Horseman and Longfellow and then Jeff. And yeah, it was definitely an experience. So.
Yeah. But that is still considered, I guess, by standards, still the west side.
I would say it's still the west side, yeah, definitely, because it's hopping a skip away from Zarzamora, and yeah, that's our west side.
So how did growing up in that area, was there a lot of culture, a lot of art? What kind of influenced you growing up at that, within those areas? Yeah.
I think that with that being part of my upbringing, I had artists in my family, my tios and my tias, were heavily influenced with music. At the time, the styles, the fashion, and it was very a big community because we were able to interact with other families that were just a couple of feet away from us because it was new families moving in, new kids, new children to play with, and new friends, and then they moved away, and we were sad and what happened. But I think it still feeds into what I do now, which is dealing with whatever's available. Sustainability is the word that's being used now, but I think I call it Resquachic.
Yeah. So, growing up there, so you went to high school in that area then?
No, we ended up moving away. I ended up going to, I went to Jeff, which we were still living off of Cincinnati in that area. And then my mom decided that they wanted to move closer to the medical center. And they found a house that was affordable and ended up graduating from John Marshall. Oh, Marshall. So yeah, we were out in the country.
So that back in the day was considered the north side.
Yeah, we hadn't made it out.
Now it's the west side.
We hadn't made it up to the north side. Yeah,
so you're living up there.
Yeah, but it was interesting because when we did move up there and graduated from Marshall, I think the first thing I did was move back to the city. I felt like I was not part of that culture of raising cattle and doing the farm life. I wanted more of fashion and industry, and so the city called me back in.
So so after graduation, what did you do after that? After you got back to the city? Or?
Well, I started working on my art. I think that when I graduated in the mid '80s, I realized that I was doing something that brought me joy, and it also was part of my cultural upbringing, being able to create jewelry, artifacts, art, because I really started out as an artist, and I was able to collect things that I found either discarded or thrown away, and I was able to put them together and create some kind of art out of things that really didn't have any beauty alone, but when you brought them together, they created kind of magic. And so I kind of delved into that. And I think my first show was 1990, was my first actual fashion show. I did earrings made out of clay and feathers at a gallery in the East Side called Planta de Arte Nuclear, and it was run by David Zamora-Casas. He was the one that gave me my first actual show in 1990. Yeah. And then from there, we moved into a space called the Anti-Oppression Church of Hardcore Folk Art, which was on Avenue E, right adjacent to the Alamo. And that became a space kind of for artists, for other emerging designers to come and show their stuff. A little collective, but it got a little too wild that that we had to find another space. And I think the reason was that I think it was haunted, and so we just had to find another venue. So I ended up moving to Southtown, which was not called Southtown at the time. It was called Main Street Alliance. I remember that being kind of the coin word, and that was in '92. I moved into La Vaca neighborhood, which is adjacent to where I'm at now, in Blue Star, and it became Planeta Mixteca, which was a cultural house. Yeah. And so from that, kind of we grew into this kind of place, again, giving a space for unheard voices, giving a space to people that were definitely marginalized, and giving a space to the LGBTQIA. Yeah. And it was just a matter of, we welcomed everybody.
And I think that's around the time that I met you, because
yes,
I just graduated from college, and I graduated in '91.
Okay.
So it was
that makes sense. Yeah.
That I met you, because I think my sister Victoria was already working for the Guadalupe.
Correct. Yeah, because I had been working at the Guadalupe as well, and that's how I met Victoria, your sister, was when I worked with Jorge in Grupo Animo. Okay. I worked with all the kids, you know, that have now grown up to be successful artists in their own rights. Yeah. But I was part of the crew with Lisa Suarez and a whole bunch of other people that I probably mention everyone, but Mariana Vasquez,
my nephew
Daniel, of course, Daniel Ramos was one of our stars. He definitely was a character that we all look forward to see him grow and what he's become. So it definitely was an experience at the Guadalupe. I definitely enjoyed that, and I still use some of what I learned in part of what I do. I'm doing some production stuff with the Tobin right now, so it includes costume design. So it's still giving back to my community, but then they're giving me back some of the love that we require as artists, you know, to fund us, to let us do our dream, and to make sure that we have the funds and the reason to make it happen for everyone.
So, but around that time,
yes,
while you were, I guess, right after graduating from high school, you started DJing as well. So
yes.
How did that happen?
Yeah, well, actually, I was DJing probably prior to that. I probably started
in high school.
In high school,
okay.
I was probably 16 when I started DJing. I graduated when I was 18. I knew a mutual friend of mine. Had a friend that knew a friend that owned a DJ company, and they were looking for roadies, for someone to carry all the heavy stuff and the heavy equipment when we did Semana Alegre, when we did all these crazy events. Yeah. But my thing was, I wanted to be the DJ, and so they're like, no, you're a roadie, you carry the stuff and you do the hard work. And so I had to prove myself with the guys, and eventually they were like, okay, we'll teach you, and that's kind of how I got started. I always wanted to be that, and when I got the chance, it just opened up a whole world of music. And I recall, you know, doing gigs at Providence, at Carnegie Word, and playing all this stuff from the 80s, because that's when we were there, like, you know, 80, so 85, 86.
On different fronts, in music and art and design. And then how did you actually get into the physical part
of fashion? Yeah, I think fashion had always been an integral part of, like, the music, the look, the advertising of how I would promote my art, which was sculptural at the time. But I think that what started it was when I opened up Jive Refried, and that was in '99. We opened up across the street from South Alamo. It had prior to that, it had been a vintage store with another owner. So we kind of collaborated, and she lost sight of what she wanted to do. So I took over and created Jive Refried as a kind of little cultural hotspot. Not intending it to be that, but just a place where it could be a welcoming place for all kinds of people, all community. I recall stories that people would say, like, I would go to your store and we were actually playing hooky from Brack. And I'm like, and you didn't say nothing to us. And I'm like, but that wasn't my job. I didn't know you were a student. And I let them stay, and they were jamming out, listening to the music and trying on clothes. So I think that it in people's minds, it was a place of liberation. It was a place of acceptance. And it was a vintage store and an art gallery. And so that's how Jive Refried kind of created the fashion ability for me. I realized that as an artist, I was using another medium, which was found objects, painting some with acrylic. But I found that fabric and design became my fascination. Yeah. It was once I started doing vintage in 99. I had been doing it, but just kind of very lightly. It definitely opened up a world for me, and I'm self-taught. But the thing is that I come from a family of sewers. My grandma was a seamstress. My mom's a seamstress. My great-grandma was a seamstress. I have their sewing machines that they would have to use the manual pedal because they're from the old times. And so I know that it was in my blood. My mom says that she recalls times when I was little growing up that I would say, I'm going to go to Paris one year and show my... She's like, what's wrong with you? Why are you going to Paris for what? And so I got to go to Paris, and I took my parents with me. And so it's been a journey where I could have left San Antonio and been, when I auditioned for Project Runway, I almost got on the show with Tim Gunn. I could have left and been like, later, dude. But no, San Antonio is a muse to me. It's a place that gives out energy that you just don't find anywhere else. It really is. And so I had to come back because my heart and my soul was yearning for San Antonio and its culture and its everything lovely about it. And so here I am, 30 years into my career and still doing the things that I love and broadening the community in fashion.
Yes. And you've been in several different fashion weeks, right?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, I got in 2019, I was selected through a program called Flying Solo. And what they do is they do a call out to designers around the world. And they try to be inclusive of people that probably don't have a venue or a platform to showcase their work. And they invite you to this state of the art, amazing fashion week. And so I was one of the 60 designers that got selected in 2019. And so I got to go to New York. And so then from that, they saw the collection and then invited me to go to Paris. Oh, wow. Yeah. And so that was I took my sister with me and my parents with as well. But it was just an experience that I probably would love to recreate because it's a town that brought me so much like inspiration, because everywhere you looked, it's fashion. Everywhere you ate, it was fashion. Everything became fashion, and so it just felt so real that I want to open like a little bagel shop with avocado, guacamole, guacamole toast, and then maybe have my atelier on top, and say it's made in Paris. That's a dream, but I can dream still.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Never stop dreaming.
Never stop dreaming, never stop learning. This whole thing has been a dream.
Mm-hmm. So when did you open up Agustin here and Blue Star?
Yes, Agustin was just kind of initially a pop-up shop. We got here in 21 during the pandemic, and there was nothing really going on in Blue Star. And so I know James, the owner, and I approached him and said, I would like to do a pop-up shop for maybe 3 months. And he's like, yeah, let's give it a try. And then he gave me the option because he saw that there was something happening. I saw something happening that I didn't realize was going to happen. It became First Friday all over again, like it was back in the day. And so I decided to stay, and they wanted me to stay, and I probably needed it for my therapy to be able to do this and continue doing the things that serve a community, but also serve my artistic talents or endeavors or things that, because I want to create fashion, but I also want to create an opportunity for up and coming designers, emerging designers, people that want to showcase their work but don't have a place because either they don't have the funds, the models, the hair, the makeup. There's a whole lot of things that go on into a fashion show. It's not just me making the clothes; it's a whole team, and I have to give credit to them because without them, some of these things would just be almost impossible for one person to create and to do. So
So how do you go about creating, say, like this behind here?
Oh, this one. You're actually getting a sneak peek.
Yeah.
I'm doing Texas Fashion Week in April for TFII, Texas Fashion Industry Initiative, which is a 501c3 nonprofit that exists here in San Antonio, and it expands through Texas. And what it does is showcase local, regional designers. Yeah. So we're doing one in April. And my work, I think, is always based in sound. I have to have a kind of blueprint of the music, of the pace, and I think that kind of advises how the clothes is going to come out. I do have an idea, but every show is different. Sometimes I'm inspired by one year I was inspired by the culture from Japan, and I called it San Antokyo, and it was a merging of San Antonio and Tokyo. One year I was inspired by tamales, and I called it tamales y animales, and it was all about using corn husks for the dresses, for the headpieces. And then the Resquachic was a take on Tomás Ibarra Frausto's Resquachismo paper that he wrote in the 80s, addressing how that word originally had a connotation of being bad, but then became empowered through his definition of it. Yeah. And the show is currently up at the McNay. Yeah. The Resquachismo show.
Yeah. And then, well, the fashion show that you just had.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, that was the one we just presented through the label Agustin, which is part of the boutique, as a ready-to-wear, meaning that whatever we make, it is ready to be sold and ready to wear. It doesn't have to be put through any kind of sizing method or reproduced in a different size. It's ready to go. And sustainability lends itself really well to that because the product is already made. It's just a matter of either adding to it, deconstructing it, restructuring it, repurpose, recycle, reimagine. It's just giving it a new life, keeping it out of the landfill, because these things are still here and they were made well. We have a lot of fast fashion happening right now that's polluting our water, our sites, landfills, and this is using what's already here. Yeah. And not having to create new jeans, new product. I know that fast fashion is about affordability, but in the long run, we're going to pay the price because there's too much of it. And so what I'd like to do is take some of that stuff, and I can't take it all, but if more of us become aware of the sustainability aspect, we can keep some of this stuff and turn it into something else. And that's what the show was about. Augustine was about sustainable.
And I got no receipt. I was there.
Yes.
So taking some photos.
Thank you.
And what I liked about it was that everybody got why they were there, what it was.
Yeah.
And the clientele, I guess, that were at the fashion show had the same philosophy, I believe.
Yeah, and that's the thing, that community supports us, but I know that I booked it on the night that there was another mayor's ball that night for Dream Week, and we were part of Dream Week, right. And so it did pull some of the heavyweights that we wanted at our show. But the good thing is that we got it on video, and you took some amazing photos, and I think those are the ones that we're using as the official kind of show of it, because no one else took such amazing photos.
Awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
Not at all. It was my pleasure, and my assistant and my collaborator on this project, Ms. Alinsky.
Yeah.
She did an awesome job too.
Yeah. Thank you for being there, because it definitely caught detail. I mean, there's some stuff in there that I had never seen photographed before like that, and it just made my heart really
awesome.
happy.
We're glad we're part of it, and we'll show some of these photos at the show.
Nice.
Later on this month, or next month. So, can you walk us through a little bit about your creative process? Mm-hmm. I know we've talked a little bit about how you pull stuff and stuff, and how you did the different fashion shows with the, you think about the music, or you think of what
the idea.
Like the idea. Once you have that idea, where do you pull everything from?
Yeah, sourcing is definitely one of my fortes, because of San Antonio being such a rich city in things being brought here, either families that were in the military, families that have relocated to San Antonio, brought all their stuff with them. I find a lot of stuff at estate sales. I find things at auctions. I find things at garage sales, flea markets. I've trained to be very selective, and I can just skim through it because I can tell by the fabric pretty much the decade. I can tell by the color pretty much if it's something I can use. And then I can tell whether it has sustainability in the fact that I can take it apart and not create a big mess. So if I want to use fur, I know that I'm going to be in trouble because I'm going to be eating it and swallowing it and breathing it. Because when you cut up anything like an animal, it's just everywhere. So I try to be conscious of that, but I try to give a lot of the fabrics a little bit of time because there's so many types, like the lame, there's all kinds of fabrics. So it just depends on what state of mind or what I'm thinking about. Because right now I'm working on the collection for 26 for spring summer, which will be in April. Yeah, oh. I got to get it all straight, and then. We're runway la calle again this year, there's a lot of things coming up.
And you just mentioned the
yes.
How did that come about? That's a little bit different. But let's dive into that real quick.
Okay, well, the Keep SA Lame is actually the backstory. It was a response to Keep Austin Weird. I don't know who created that back in the day, in maybe the 80s. Yeah. And so a local artist by the name of Justin Parr, who runs Flight Gallery here at the Blue Star, came up with a response saying, keep SA lame. And I was great. But, so about 10, 12 years ago is when I came up with the lame. Yeah. And so I approached Justin and said, Justin, is it okay if I use your keep SA lame and add a little thing? He's like, do what you want. You're an artist. Go for it. And so it took off. It took off as now being, because people still see it as lame. And so we correct them. They're like, it's lame. And they're like, what? And they're like, yeah, lame. Like, you know what lame is. It's like, it's shiny on one side, right? It's shiny, keep SA lame. But then it's also a little dull on the other side. So that to me is so San Antonio. Mm-hmm. And that's what I love about it. That you can find the shiny, you can find the dull, and you can mix it and be where you want to be. Yeah. And so, hello. And it works well. Don't tell everybody we're like that. Don't come here. I'm just kidding. We love you.
Yeah, that's great. Are there any, like you said, you were talking about it earlier about how when you put something together, or say like the show, it's not just you. You have other people. Who do you collaborate with? Are they designers themselves, or are they just people that do the cutting or do the sewing? How is it that you put your team together? Yeah,
that's interesting because I know that I'm working on my 26th collection. So the early years were basically me doing basically everything, from sewing to marketing to cutting to designing. But through the years, I've learned that as a successful designer, you have to have a team. And so it was hard because I couldn't afford to keep a team on a yearly basis. So I reached out to people that were creative and that had a passion for it and had a heart for it. And so through the years, I've been very fortunate to be able to have come across my creative director. She's got the title, Cristel Puente. And then other people that have been part of my seamstresses, my sewers that I rely on. I'll take them a piece and then they either recreate it or they alter it or they create what I want with directions that I give them. And I've been very fortunate to have some strong Latina women that have probably been sewing for over 50 years come on board and assist me. I'm working right now with Virginia, which is one of my best seamstresses, and we're putting together the show for April. So that being said, I also have to look for my hair artist, because you want to have a certain look for the hair that goes with the rest of the look. My makeup artist, is it going to be soft? Is it going to be hard? Is it going to be, red lips? What are we doing? And then she's got to put together a team because I'm bringing in 15 to 30 models and there's not one person that can do all that. So it requires planning. It requires a commitment. It requires communication. Yeah. And I think that's important in this industry. It's very cutthroat. And it could leave you very, very sour. But if you make the right connections with the right people, I think that it could be a wonderful experience. And that's where I'm at. I love what I do. I mean, it's not always the pretty things, but it's definitely the pretty things that we get to show. And it's a form of therapy for a lot of us because we have a passion for it.
Yeah. And you mentioned that when you when you're working with them, you guide them.
Yeah.
Do you sketch your ideas down, or is it just verbally that you're explaining to them what the whole concept is, and then maybe detailing it down?
Yeah, it varies because I've done both. I've detailed it to where I sketch it, but sometimes I think when you actually work next to someone
Yeah.
for a minute and tell them, no, not this, that, you kind of then get how they work, and you can just verbally tell them.
Okay.
Or I'll bring them examples,
Yeah.
like that skirt. Like that's an example.
Yeah.
Like I want you to do that, but with this fabric.
This fabric.
I want it to be this long. I want it this short. That's the kind of thing.
Yeah.
I give them the idea, and then they just kind of then will run with it to make sure that they're artists as well, and so I have to be like, it's perfect, and it usually is because, yeah, I've never had to be like mad at it. It always comes out like in the end it works. It's just like theater, It's like nobody sees what's going on behind stage until it hits the runway or the stage, and it's brilliant.
So, what has been the most rewarding part of your journey from being an artist, being a DJ, and then finally getting into producing your fashion with the, going to Paris, going to New York, going up to Dallas, going wherever it is that you go and you show your fashion and your designs. What's been the most rewarding part of it?
That's interesting that I see it as giving back to the community, creating footprints for others to follow. Mm-hmm. I can't do anything other than what I've already done before. I can't compete with anyone. I'm not trying to. I'm just doing what I know I can do. And I think that would be what I would say that, because there was footsteps before me that I followed. There's women and men that were designers doing stuff, and they went to school for it. But their careers never got the attention. That it never became. Not that it wasn't serious; they were serious, but it would never got the attention that it deserved. And so, with me getting attention, it's not about just lifting me up. It's about lifting up other artists, other designers that are out there as well that have really great potential. I work with a couple of students at Stevenson High School. I work with students at Palo Alto. They've invited me to work within sustainable fashion, and I have met some amazing young designers that are hungry, and what they're putting out is just what the world needs to see, but they're not given the resources and the avenue to show it. And so I think that if I can be that person, I think that would be my greatest accomplishment, and my greatest joy would be that it would be about leaving behind either a foundation, some sustainability museum, something where they could draw from my notes, because we all leave something behind. And I don't have any children, so it's Agosto. That's it.
Yeah. But I think that's a really good philosophy when it comes to just creatives in general. Like you said, you're not competing against anybody.
I'm not competing against anyone. I'm doing what I do because I know what I did last, and if I'm anything competing with myself, if that even makes sense. But no, I just have to do and keep doing. Yeah.
That is really a great philosophy, and I think that's something that a lot more creatives need to follow.
True.
And not compare themselves to others.
Right. It's tough. It's tough because people will give you their vision of what they think, and it's not always what we want to hear. Yeah. But I think that we can take it as constructive criticism and move on as, okay, maybe I do need to address something, but San Antonio is an interesting town.
Yeah. We'll leave it there.
We'll leave it there.
On that.
It's San Antonio.
So, one of the other we talked about some of the advice that you want to leave or give to students.
Right. Yeah.
Is there anybody in particular right now that you think as a student that you can say somewhere down the line, hey, that person is going to be something?
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, working with college students is a little more different than working with high school students because Stevenson is a high school. Palo Alto definitely has a variety of ages that go there, and I definitely have seen some talent that, given the right exposure, given the right attention, and given the right nourishment and support, which are a lot of things because that takes money, and sometimes we have to have a day job to do the stuff you love to do in the evening because that's your passion for what you love. So there are people that I know that definitely have a potential. Yeah, but again, they're juggling life. They're juggling, and that's one thing I learned from the students. Like, my mom and my dad are going through da 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 da, and then my sister and da, and it's just like, wow, that's a lot. And you're still able to produce these beautiful garments from all that turmoil. And they're like, well, that's kind of where I grab my energy, and so. It's hard because you catch people at different levels in their life. And so they may be going through a very creative process or they may be not. And so sometimes I would love to be able to possibly, mentor students, and I kind of do that already. I've had people come up to me not too long ago and I had gone to IADT, which was a school back in the day, the Institute.
Go design.
Yes, Go Design. So I got to go talk about my fashion like in 2000. Yeah. And she came up, she's like, I remember you. You came to my class. And she goes, I'm working in New York now. I was like, what? She goes, I just want to let you know that I remembered you. And I was like, I don't even know what I said, but I was there. And so things like that, we never know what ripple we affect. Will reach anybody that's listening or cares to listen. Because I'm not for everybody. I'm not everybody's voice, but I'm a voice that people may want to hear and they don't have to. Yeah. And my fashions, they may think they're crazy. They may think they're outlandish, but it's a way for me to express what I do. And so it's also a way to serve the better good. Our environment's suffering and we need to get that taken care of. And hopefully we can just, if anything, it would be just a start.
One of the things that I've also saw on this last show of yours, and I knew you've done other things too, is that you not only design for women, but you also design for men.
Correct.
And some of those fashions that you showed at this one.
Yeah.
How much into that is your design portion right now? Is it on the lower end as far as the amount of fashion that you have out for them
for men?
At the moment, but are you trying to build that as well?
It just is so much easier and when it comes to creating women's clothes, only because of the fact that it's a standard size. And so I know that we went through a phase of inclusivity and size and how women were just seen as a hanger and just very thin. And it's because the proportion of the clothes was made to look thin so that it could sell. That was the whole idea of a runway show, was so that it could look attractive. Well, we can make it in other sizes, but this is just the one size that we're showing as our sample. So this is a sample size and we're showing that. But I get lost in that sometimes because I feel like we all want to be inclusive and we all want to be part of what we're showing. But I feel like my clothes dictates the model, and I have some models that are like, I'm not going to wear that, or I don't think I look good in it, and that's not their job. But the thing is, we work with them and we explain to them that this is the designer's vision, and if he wants you to have a ponytail sticking out this way and one sticking up out here, that's just what he wants, and you agreed to it, and so we try to work, but sometimes it's just not the best for everybody. So, did I answer your question?
A little bit.
Okay, I think I went. Sorry.
That was a little bit more on the men's side.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Are you going to be doing?
I would like to do more men's stuff, but the thing is, a lot of them, and this is funny, even with like me running a vintage store, is that guys don't save their clothes. They wear it till it's torn and no vale. Yeah, it's ready to be thrown away.
Like calzoncillos or
yeah, hasta nada. And so working with that sometimes is a bit difficult, but I'm getting better at finding like dead stocks, stuff that's been holed away somewhere and was supposed to be sold and then they lost it. So I do have more of a demand for men's stuff. Yes.
Well, maybe you can find something for me to wear at the opening of this.
Okay, let's do that. We'll see.
We have about a month.
Okay, that sounds like a plan. That sounds like we can make it work.
But anyway, thank you for being a part of this.
Hey,
this
well,
process.
thank you.
I actually, had tried to get you on my last.
I
San
know.
Antonio, but that didn't work out.
Didn't work out.
This is a little bit better feel because I was able to spend more time with you, and that's what I'm trying to do with this project. Is spend more time with the people that I'm getting to know, and telling their story and help them get their story. So, where can listeners find your shop?
Okay.
Where can they find you online?
Yeah.
Where can they find you on social media?
Well, social media, we definitely have a presence. We are doing I Love Agustin on Instagram. Okay. And then you can find my Agosto Cuellar page on Facebook and on Instagram. I'm also on TikTok. And then you can go to the website, which I believe is it's agostocuellar.com. It might be a little dated, but it's there. And then you can visit us at the store. We're only open on the weekends, which would be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And our hours are limited. We are open Friday from 6 to 9 p.m. And on Saturdays, we are here from 12 to 6, and Sundays 12 to 6 as well. So we definitely have kind of.
Well, I definitely encourage people to come out and look at your shop.
Thank you.
I know I had an assistant when we did First Friday.
Yes.
And she ended up buying I don't know how much.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you.
So yes, it's eclectic. You'll find something you're gonna love.
Yeah.
There's something for just about any.
Yeah, it's pretty unusual. It's all curated, and we find some amazing stuff, and we really pride ourselves in having good prices because we're not a museum. We want things to be loved and reloved and taken away. We don't want to hang on to them. We find them for someone, and usually it's when someone lets out a scream, and they're like, look, and we know that someone has found something that they didn't realize they were looking for it, but they found it. And so thank you for taking an interest in us. And what did you learn about us in the process? Anything about Agustin or?
Well, I mean, I've always known your type of fashion.
Yes.
And how you're using repurposed fashion and stuff. But what I learned was that it carries really well because I've seen some of the more what you said was the outlandish stuff.
Yes, I have done outlandish.
Back when you used to do fashion like I am.
Yes, it was outlandish.
And those were more, for me, I think they were more, what do you call it?
Theatrical.
More artistic.
Yeah.
Things they were more. It wasn't going to be a fashion, or it wasn't going to be a shirt or a skirt that somebody's going to wear to.
No, you're right. No, there was very.
But there is something for that because that was the type for that particular fashion show.
Right.
And the stuff that I saw, the fashions that I saw, the clothes that I saw for this one is something I could see people wearing.
Yes, and I think that makes sense. Yeah. You're right. We are being a little more aware of the fact that we wanted to be ready to wear. Yeah. And that's why we add the RTW, because some of that stuff, they didn't even know how to put it on. They had it on backwards. And I'm like, that's not the way. But we want to know and let people know that Runway in La Calle is coming back. Right. We're going to be doing that again, hopefully in September, with the Esperanza Center, and it'll be on Guadalupe Street, and we're excited to be part of that again, and encourage some up-and-coming designers that have already reached out to us that said, we would like to be part of this. Some students, so.
Well, if I can help out taking photos again.
You would be definitely part of the crew, sir. I would love you to be there.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. Yay.
Wow, that was such an inspiring conversation with Agosto Cuellar. His passion for sustainability, creativity, and cultural storytelling through fashion reminds us that art isn't just about aesthetics. It's about meaning, purpose, and impact. Resquachic is more than just a style. It's a mindset that challenges us to rethink what we wear, why we wear it, and how we can be more intentional about our choices. Thank you for joining us on this journey through San Antonio's creative heartbeat. Until next time.